This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is show for the week of January 6th, 2025. And if you are listening or watching later, we're actually live today, Phil. It's Happy New Year to you, sir. I hopefully it works. Hopefully they can. I don't think anybody can hear you on there. So now they can, because I had you muted. I'm sorry.
Oh.
All right, goodness. Phil, we are now live. You see people in chat. There we go. Chat, is everything going good? The chat levels are fine? Let us know if it's too loud or too low. But I think we could start here. Anyway, this is our first show since we recorded our Tokyo trip report with our good friend. And it's the new year. And lots of fun things are about to happen. So on the show, we're going to talk about a potential survey with new characters coming to Disney World. We're talking about holiday crowds that might be lower. There's a lot of discounts that I would love to talk about because those impacted me directly, Phil. And free dining stuff. And then we have a new segment on bathrooms. That's our poll to our first live show is bathrooms.
Well, it's probably the most requested topic that we cover that we haven't yet. So
there we go. Okay, cool. So what's first, Phil? You got a bunch of news here that you want to talk about. Yeah,
so this was, we have a kind of a couple weeks worth of news, so I tried to pick some of the big topics. And this one I thought was really interesting. It got people chatting. It's kind of a rumor. It was initially posted by our good friend Drew, the Disney dude, that he saw there was a survey that was asking Disney guests about the Walt Disney Company's brands, franchises, and offerings and stuff like that. But what was interesting was that it asked about The Simpsons. And it gave you different options for each one, but including for The Simpsons, it said, would you be interested in the character meet and greets at the Disney theme parks or new lands or attractions at the Disney theme parks? And that got everyone kind of a buzz about, does this mean they're bringing The Simpsons into the Disney theme parks? And what does this mean? And does that feel weird? Do we want The Simpsons in the theme parks? So I thought it was just an interesting topic about almost what it got me thinking, like sort of what is a real Disney brand or what is things that we actually want to see in Disney theme parks? Because, 20, 30 years ago, nobody would have said like, oh, Star Wars and Marvel belong in Disney theme parks, but they're there now, right? So, but I don't know. It seems like for people, Simpsons feels a little bit different than things like that. So I don't know. What were your reactions when you saw it, Jason?
I mean, I think everybody focused on Simpsons, but it was a much broader survey.
Oh, yeah,
a lot of different things, right? But like the immediate impact was Simpsons, no, right? Like no one wanted Simpsons. Even chat's right going out, no Simpsons. David in chat's screaming no. Oh, he's typing nicely, but I know he's screaming at home as he's typing that. Look, I'm okay with The Simpsons coming to Walt Disney World, but like I think I said, I don't know if I said this to you in our own chat, but or if it was in general chat on our Discord server. It was basically, I think Simpsons would be great at Disney Springs, like a cool Rainforest Cafe type of setting or the T-Rex restaurant kind of setting, kind of like some kind of fun place to go eat, like maybe Moe's Tavern or something else like that. That'd be really fun. But I don't think they really belong in a Disney park. They were never really a Disney property until just recently. And by the time
it's part of the Fox acquisition, which was mostly done to have content for Disney Plus and stuff like that,
And by the time they became Disney property, they were so ancient anyway that it's hard to have them become synonymous. Just like Marvel's been around a lot longer than Disney owned them, but they became popular under Disney with, the MCU under the Disney umbrella. So I think it's completely different. It'd just be weird, I think, if Simpsons were running around.
Yeah, it definitely would be weird. I liked your idea of a restaurant or something like that. And I certainly I could see character meets, especially, maybe at after hours events, kind of like special things or just fun things they could do. I really hope they're not like, oh, let's make Animation Courtyard Springfield and have like
Oh.
attractions and stuff like that. I think it
No.
would just be too much. And as much as I love The Simpsons, I grew up with them. My son watches them a lot on Disney Plus, so like we have The Simpsons in the house a lot. It just I don't think it fit well into the theme parks. It did make me wonder though, just like with the larger topic of some of these acquired properties, like would we feel the same way about, you know, different acquired properties that they got through the Fox acquisition, or is it anything like that, or is it just The Simpsons specifically?
I think it's The Simpsons, just because it's a cartoon, right? Like,
Yeah. What about something like Ice Age? Like they acquired them, they're making an Ice Age 5. Like, would that be weird in the theme parks?
I don't think so. Only because I think half the people think Ice Age is Pixar anyway, right?
Yeah,
so,
maybe.
I mean, I'm not as offended because it's Ice Age is not an iconic character that carries its own like heavy presence in the cultural zeitgeist, right? Like The Simpsons were like a thing. Right, so adding not that Ice Age is unpopular or not known. It didn't have the cultural impact that like The Simpsons have. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like if somehow Saturday Night Live showed up in the Disney parks. That would just be weird because Saturday Night Live is its own entity. It's not part of a brand. It's Saturday Night Live. Just like The Simpsons. The Simpsons are The Simpsons. They're not part of anything else, I think.
Okay. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Be interesting though if they do come in some way. Like I said, maybe if it's meet and greets or something like that. But we'll see. But speaking of the parks and visiting them, Disney put out some new discounts, and actually another one just came out today, a ticket one for Florida residents, which we're not going to get into since we're not all Florida residents or whatever. But it had, I think you could get tickets for as low as $60 a day, so that's not a bad deal. But
not bad at all.
So first it came out that they're bringing back free dining. I don't think anyone's surprised about that. Similar to how things have been in the past. But one thing you can tell from it is when the slow periods are, because they're starting it's all for summer. You know, free dining when it started, it used to be in the fall, kind of crept into August and July, and now it's starting. I think actually the earliest date is May 27th. And then covering, you know, pretty much all of June and July and August, other than 4th of July week and stuff like that. You can start booking it already now. And similar deals to as in the past, you do have to buy, you know, a Disney World package with room and tickets. You have to buy the park hopper option, have to be there for at least 3 days, 3 nights. And deluxe stays get the regular Disney dining plan. Moderate and values get the quick service one. So I know you mentioned that you might go with this route for your upcoming trip. You compared and contrasted that.
I have a whole spreadsheet, and if we were primarily a stream, I can bring it up. If I was prepared to kind of do that, I could. But no one wants to stare at a spreadsheet, and it's probably not legible to anybody if anybody's watching this on their couch or something else.
And then the second part, though, which I guess you compared and contrasted when you were going down, which was the better deal, is that they introduced a room-only discount. High level, it's pretty much the same as types of things that have been in the past. I think it's for like maybe longer period of time. For the general public, it goes from May 1st through the end of September, so a number of months. One kind of unique thing is that moderate and deluxes seem to be grouped in together, where now you're getting 25% on stays 1 to 4 nights, 30% on 5 nights. So they are encouraging you to stay a little bit longer. And values are 20% or 25%. So you get a little bit more if you stay at a moderate or deluxe. So I found that a little interesting. Are they having more trouble with the moderates and giving larger discounts there? Or just what that means.
I don't know. I think they're just trying something different with this. I mean, I think they're just, you know, I went back and forth on Blue Sky months ago and again on the WDW Magic forums. There's a lot of topics here. My brain is all over the place here. So just on occupancy levels. So Walt Disney World peaked in 2019 with a 90% occupancy rate over roughly the same amount of inventory that's available now, right? Mm-hmm. These are all from SEC filings, so it's like this has to be true, right? So they can't lie on this type of stuff. And this is not conjecture or rumor. This is like filings, right, from the SEC's main website. That being said, they roughly had anywhere between like 10,500 room nights per year, somewhere in that range, and it only fluctuated about 1,000 up or down depending, you know, what was available, what wasn't during that time. And I went back, I don't know, the last 10 years, and leading up to 2019, which was peak Disney World attendance wise, they peaked at 90% occupancy rate in all their rooms for the year. Last year, they were at 85%. Leading up to 2019, as they progressed to the most crowded the parks have ever been, they had it was anywhere between 87 and 89%, and it kind of bounced around over there. So they're not too far off. But I think right now they're not struggling for attendance, as people say, but they're struggling, or they're emphasizing to try to get to that 90%, right? So they're trying to fill in the last couple percentage points. And I think they're learning that more people might be apt to stay at a moderate than a deluxe, because deluxe is the price point. So I think they're kind of trying that, but they're also trying to prolong the stay, which makes sense because they're trying to capture people that might want to splash Disney World for Epic versus the other way around, like going to Disney and splashing Epic versus going to Universal and splashing Magic Kingdom.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's interesting. And we'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about 2025 plans, but I was looking at this offer for when we have my quick down and back with my youngest, and we priced out both a value and a moderate because she wanted to stay at Caribbean Beach. And I was like, oh, well, with the discount and 25% versus 20, maybe it would be closer. But one thing I found, at least for the dates I was looking at Caribbean Beach, it was only on some of the higher level rooms, like the fifth sleeper and preferred rooms and stuff like that. They didn't have any availability with the discount on the like kind of the entry level rooms, whereas at Pop they had it for everything. Yeah. So if I was looking for the absolute cheapest, it wasn't that close in price. I was hoping it would bring it closer to price, but it wasn't really. So
yeah, to mention answer Dave's question, he thought about competing with a Universal package, do 3 days at Universal to get Epic and 3 or 4 days at Disney, and how that works. I think no one knows because we don't know what the Epic ticket. You're waiting for how the Epic tickets are available for your August trip, right? So I think that's a TBD.
Yeah, I think right now it is that you have to buy like the 3-day ticket if you wanted to get tickets right now. They said more information would be coming out, so maybe that's what Disney's thinking is like, well, if we get you for 4 nights here. Boom, you do your 3 nights at Universal, that's your week or something like that. But.
Yeah, so let's go back to the deals because I did a whole bunch of math. I haven't done Disney planning math for this in a while. So last year, I forget when I did it, but I booked our summer vacation. We haven't gone as a family since about a year ago now for Christmas of 2023. Yep. And so we're going the end of July for 9 nights. And originally we're staying at Art of Animation. And the question was, okay, we booked here, party of 6 because my mother's coming. Do we want to split that up into 2 rooms at Caribbean Beach just so we have more beds, it's more comfortable, that sort of thing. And I told everybody, like, look, I'll price it all out, but I want to wait for the discounts to drop before we start doing a whole bunch of stuff. So the discounts dropped. So I don't recall exactly what it was, but I looked at, here it is. I looked at Art of Animation with the discount, the rack rate discount, and Caribbean Beach with 2 rooms with the rack rate discount. The difference was for Caribbean Beach for 2 rooms with a 30% discount, I would save $210 a night with Caribbean Beach, or $173 for Art of Animation with the family suite, right? So we're looking at $702 combined for CBR and $579 for Art of Animation. Those were the rack rates. With the discount, it was $491 versus $405. So already I was saving more money with CBR, but also spending another $85 per night to have those 2 rooms.
Right, but it brings them closer together, right?
It does.
Now you have to think about is $85 worth it for 2 rooms versus being in the 1 suite.
Right. So that's just the rack rate. And now if you remember our conversation, we had I can't remember when we had this conversation months ago. The dining plan scales with the more people that you have per room. Right. We don't have the pricing for the dining plan for 2025, but I'm assuming it's relatively the same, where it's about $60 per adult and $25 per child. That's what I used for my calculation. So it's roughly for our party, $325 a day. That's what we're getting. And that's 2 quick service meals and 1 snack and reusable mug that I'm not even counting. Right.
Yep.
So, okay. Now I have to compare the cost of the savings for the room, which is either $210 or $173, versus something that's a value of $325. That's almost double. Now, we're not even talking about the regular Disney dining plan where you're paying more for meals, that sort of thing. Yeah. So then, okay, what is a realistic cost per day for food? And I think I had this in the notes because this number is not on my spreadsheet. What did I have for our family? It was $228 a day. Right, I'm assuming $15 per meal, No beverages, no sodas, no tea, no coffee. One snack per person at $8 per person, and just multiply that out over two meals, not counting breakfast because we'd have to spend that money anyway, and that's about $228. So if the quick service just covered that, that's still better than the $210 that we're saving, right, at that point.
Right.
Because you got to remember, if I save $210, I still have to then go pay for food at that point.
Right.
Now, with the dining plan, I get an alcoholic beverage, and our friend Matt had a really good tip I never really thought about before, is you get a breakfast or lunch or wherever you're at the resort, you can get a can of beer or whatever that you can get from the thing, and you put it in the refrigerator for later, and he never really bought any beers or alcoholic beverages from the bar because he had stashes of them. Now, two of my kids are Disney adults. If I just go pick up meals for everybody, I can get 4 drinks because we have 5 adults.
5
in our party. I don't have to, we come back from the parks, I'm going to have a 6-pack of beer sitting in my robe, which is great because my wife doesn't drink and my mother drinks very little. So I think I am going to take advantage of adult beverages on our trip.
Yep.
So clearly the free dining plan saves us a tremendous amount of money. We're paying rack rate, right?
Yeah.
At $5.79, but all of our food and hopefully adult beverages are basically covered with the snacks and everything else like that. Because I don't get snacks every single time my kids get ice cream, so they're gonna pile up.
Yeah.
And I remember the last time we did the Disney dining plan, we upgraded, and we had so many snacks left over, like everybody else, right? You're buying 10 packs of
of the candies and stuff like that,
right, to bring home. So long story short, it just makes more sense to me, I think, to go with the Disney dining plan, the free dining versus the rack rate, because it's just the math, right? The math works. Now here's the next interesting point, in case I haven't put anybody else to sleep yet on all my numbers here. To upgrade from the Disney the quick service dining plan to the Disney dining plan, you just have to pay the difference in cost. So we are already getting hoppers, so we don't have to pay the hopper tax. You got to remember, when we were younger, family, we never did hoppers. So we had to upgrade from a regular ticket to a base ticket to a hopper ticket. And that was, I think, $80 or $90 per person, for the family. So it was like a $400 tax to basically upgrade them for our family, or $500. So we're already getting hoppers, so we don't have to pay that. So to upgrade is about $1,800 to upgrade. Now, I have to ask myself, we're definitely doing sit-down meals, a handful of them, assuming that each sit-down meal probably has the value of about $300 or so, 60 times 5, right, ish. Even though there's 6 people, we could call it 360, but I don't think everybody's spending $60 on a meal. Maybe closer to 40 if they get a dessert and a
depends
drink
where you go,
right? That type of thing. Character meal, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like we go to Artist Point, it's $65 a head before you even have an adult beverage in there, right? And I think we are going to do Artist Point, but I think, okay, so what is your break even? Roughly, it's 5 sit-down meals just to break even on the Disney dining plan. So if we do 5 sit-down meals and spend at least $50-ish per person each meal, the Disney dining plan upgrade just pays for itself. Right? Whatever. Essentially, we're transferring the money and we're getting like the all-inclusive feel, which I think there's a benefit to. So part of our planning as we get closer in spending that money, we have to determine how many sit-down meals are we going to do and kind of test that. And you could easily do that, right? You could pick a bunch of places, pick out what foods that kids probably eat, and so forth. But this will be my first time doing a dining plan with adult children, and I'm glad it's free. Or saving. Essentially, I think I'm saving $3,000, 325 times 9 versus 100, call it 200 times 9, so 1,800 versus whatever, almost $3,000. So there's a pretty hefty upgrade there. So check your own math. Free dining. I know a lot of people like to say free dining doesn't really make sense, etc. But it does when you have if you jam pack your rooms with a maximum.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you have 6 people in a room or even 4 people in a value room or whatever, it can work out. And you're doing it the right way. You're saying, well, we're going to eat at some table service restaurant, so probably 5 anyway. So then it makes sense. If you really have to change how you're eating just to kind of fit into it, then it probably doesn't make sense. But if we're going to do this anyway, And maybe now we'll get some extra alcoholic beverages and stuff because they're in the package and stuff like that. Or maybe we'll do a couple extra character meals we wouldn't have because we're getting better value.
So
then it makes sense.
Yeah. So I suspect maybe, I mean, the cost of this vacation is ridiculous to begin with. Another point was the free dining was not offered at Caribbean Beach. There was no inventory for free dining at Caribbean Beach.
Interesting. Okay.
So
it's funny that I found similar things with the discount too. So it's like, yeah, that must be still a popular resort.
So we're staying at Art of Animation to the chagrin of my mother, who thinks her back is going to hurt with those beds, the pull down and the Murphy bed. So we might have to do some swapping just to kind of give her a break. Anyway, here's the breakdown, just so you're wondering. This is without tickets. This is just hotel and food budget. So rack rate and a daily food budget of $228 a day. This is without any discounts. Was $7,389 for our family of six.
Yep.
With the room discount and a consistent daily food budget, our cost goes to $6,318. So we're saving roughly $1,000. Mm-hmm. If you use rack rate plus the free quick service dining plan, our cost of our vacation drops to $5,337. So it's essentially a discount of $1,000 with the rack rate and $2,000 with the free dining. And I don't think anybody could say that the quick service dining plan is you're eating a lot of food with that at all. That's just like a lot of all basic stuff. So anyway, do the math, figure it out. But
I don't know if I'm just getting jaded by Disney prices and stuff like that, but a 9-night stay for 6 people for just over $5,000, including your food, like
without
doesn't
tickets.
seem that's not your tickets.
Not
that's
tickets,
just the room.
no.
Okay, never mind.
And lots of money to that one.
Okay, never mind. I thought that was the all-in price. I was like, that's not bad at all.
A 9-night, or no, I think we're doing an 8-night hopper. Right, we're just getting tickets for every single day. I think you're looking at I think $800 and something per person.
Yeah,
roughly, I believe. I think it comes down to right around almost $100 a person per day for that package. Yeah. And that's one of the things I wish Disney would come back with is drop that reduced ticket rate the farther you go. Because if you remember, it used to be after like your fourth or fifth ticket was cheap and so forth. Now it's like their sixth ticket. So it's basically like a $200 difference. All right, that was long. But anyway, there's great discounts out there. There's lots of inventory. It's dropped super duper early. I would say even if you're on the fence about going to Disney World, just book it right now and just cancel it. If you know it'll cost you $200 to hold, right? You get it all back, but I think it's worth doing.
Yep. I mean, and like you said, if you're planning on going anyway, it can make something more affordable. Like you said, maybe you upgrade to having the dining plan, or you upgrade from a value to a moderate, or something like that. So definitely take a look at.
Yeah, and just to respond to Jen in chat. Free dining is still not the deal it used to be because they took away a snack. Way back, it used to include the tips, and then you also used to get the standard dining plan if you stayed at a moderate. And what am I missing? There was one other thing that
I think now it's what is it? You get entree and dessert. You used to get appetizer, entree, and dessert. So because that's when we went once when it first came out, and looking back on it, oh my God, like the deal we got out of it, because obviously it was a lot cheaper to begin with, and literally you didn't have to leave tip or anything, so you were just got up and left and had like more food than you can imagine.
Exactly, it was great.
So,
it was great. All right, what's next? I got lost in this whole debate. I love the free dining debate. If you've been listening to the show for the last 4 years, I love the dining debate on this one. But I think you left off with the question: would you upgrade to the Disney dining plan? And I think I answered that.
Yeah, you answered. Yes, you got that in there, so it's good. Yeah,
excellent.
So speaking of attracting crowds, there was apparently low holiday crowds this time. Now, anyone who's seen pictures on Facebook or Twitter or whatever like that, I'm sure you saw like, what do you mean low crowds? There was tons of people there.
Yeah.
But we're comparing it to the holidays of the past. And one thing that I noticed too was it seemed like people were commenting earlier in December seemed to be more crowded than it used to be. It used to be like right after Thanksgiving was kind of a quiet point for a couple of weeks before you got closer to the holidays. So I'm wondering if people are learning, let's not go at the crazy time. We're more comfortable taking kids out of school or something. We'll go, kind of beginning of December. But what really prompted the discussion was Len Testa from Touring Plans posted that they did a lot of statistical study looking at wait times during Christmas week. So the dates they were looking at was December 23rd through the 29th at all 4 of the Walt Disney World parks and also the 2 Universal parks, and looking at kind of average wait time this year versus last year. And what jumped out at them was that for the Disney parks, they were way down. Magic Kingdom was down like 13%, Animal Kingdom 14, Hollywood Studios 17, and Epcot all the way down at 22% lower wait times than the same period last year. While Universal was actually up a little bit. You know, it was like 1% to 4%, something like that. So it really got me thinking like, well, what's driving this? Like, is it less people traveling to Walt Disney World, period? Like it's just less popular now? Or is it, like I mentioned before, just people have changed their patterns and they're no longer going when it was historically crowded and moving to slower periods of times? And then I don't know if you want to comment on that, but then I wanted to get into some more thought processes around these numbers.
I think the answer is ultimately it's probably a little bit of everything, right?
Well, yeah. I think we've established that obviously. There's never one answer.
No,
but yeah.
never. I think a huge driver is people are going at all times of the year and not caring about, like, at least this anecdotal evidence with the people around me, no one cares about taking their kids out of school anymore, ever. Before it was like, maybe like 1 or 2 days here, we'll stick it on a weekend. No, people are flat out taking their kids out for like 1.5 weeks of school and not even batting an eye. I think that's what COVID did. People realize we want to have fun, enjoy our family time, and
and also I think people used to remote work for school. They can kind of keep up with their studies or make up or whatever. So I think some people that makes some people a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Missing. Yep.
And then the other thing is, I wonder what the impact of Lightning Lane Multipass has on any of this. Is this driving down the longer wait times and spreading it out, bringing the average down, right? Like, so I don't know if what kind of statistical analysis he's doing, or if it's just an average of a wait time. But if like,
well, that's what I was going to get into with my next point. So the first thing it was, well, these charts don't actually say how many people are in the park. It says what's the average wait time. So is it same amount of people, but they're just not waiting in longer lines? They're doing other stuff, meeting characters, watching shows, things like that. And then the other thing I was looking at, well, what changed from last year? And the two things that I noticed changed was, one is we went to Lightning Lane Multipass and Premier Pass instead of Genie Plus. So there's some changes with that. And then also we have the DAS changes, which is one thing that Len was offering up. He thinks those DAS changes have just impacted wait times in general, which could be that, okay, now people that maybe used to get DAS and now aren't, they really would struggle to go during the peak period of times. So they're just not there anymore. Or if they are going, they're not willing to wait on, it's like, well, this ride sometimes has a 30-minute wait, but now it's 60. I can't do 60 minutes, right. That type of thing. And then the other thing is, if you look at the details of the analysis of what he did, this isn't total wait times across the park. What he said was waits in line for a few key attractions. So that's where I think that the point you were making about Lightning Lane Multipass comes into play. And that was something I found on my trip, was that the top tier attractions were kind of the same, or maybe even a little less than under Genie Plus. But the tier 2 attractions seem to be a lot higher because people have to book them as part of the advanced booking and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's not kind of being reflected in these charts, where it just looks like, the waits at Mine Train or whatever, Remy or whatever are a lot lower than they were a year ago. But the lines at Living with the Land and Nemo and stuff like that are probably a lot higher than they were last year.
No, I think that's probably one of the main culprits here. And I don't. I'm trying to think what else could have done it, and I mean, like I even in my corner of the world, I knew one person that went during this time of year. So I mean, like I don't think it's people are changing things dramatically at all.
And the one thing I would add is, I think some of this, when you see this headline from Len Testa, waits are down 20% at Epcot year over year, that headline reads negatively, but I think some of this is what Disney wants, right? Yeah. They want to spread the crowds. They don't want people all coming at the same time and waiting 3 hours. They want to, and then other times of the year, there's nobody there. So their like pricing schemes, I think, are helping to do that. And with the Lightning Lane Multipass spreading crowds around, I think that's what Disney wants too. People aren't happy when they're waiting 2 hours.
No.
much more happy if it's a line's moving and they're waiting 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, that sort of thing. So sometimes it's easy to like, for the people that want to be negative about Disney, to point to all these things like, look, oh, Disney's going out of business and stuff like that. But sometimes I think this is what Disney wants.
I think if the outlier outlier wait times are lower, I think they're happy with that. If your Lightning Lane multipass purchase is bringing you perceived value because you're seeing, more attractions having higher wait times than 5 minutes, like the 5-minute ones that you remember from your last trip are now 20 minutes, but you got the multipass and then the drag. I think how do I encapsulate this? So the wait times are going up for the lesser attractions. The wait times for the upper tier attractions are going down. And when you buy a Lightning Lane multipass, you're getting value of it because you're skipping some of those lines. Because I think now it's a win for everybody, essentially, right? And when you actually plunk down the money, you're getting value at it. I don't see any complaints. Everybody was scared when multipass came into everything's going to be sold out. I'm never going to be able to get anything. But I haven't heard anybody complain about the functionality and the availability of the multipass.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. And like you said, I think with Genie Plus, it felt like people were just using them for the key attractions. And then if you had it, you're like, well, I'm even bother using this for Living with the Land. It's always a 10-minute line anyway. But now because people are booking it, now you feel like, hey, I'm skipping a 30-minute wait or whatever it was. So yeah, no, I think that's a good point.
Are we playing our game now? Our top 3 bathroom game?
Yeah, I think we are up to our So like I said,
you struggled with this one.
I know. It was funny because it was like one of the most requested things was to look at bathrooms. We asked for our ideas from the community, and a lot of people suggested that. And then I was like, oh, well, we'll do our rank 'em. We'll do rank 'em bathrooms. And I was like, well, let's start at Epcot or Magic Kingdom or whatever, pick a park. And I looked on Disney's website, and in Epcot, it listed 24 different bathrooms. And I'm like, that's going to be a really boring segment for us to go through 24 bathrooms. And I was like, I don't know if I could tell the difference between like, how are we going to score this one when it's like, Spaceship Earth East and Spaceship Earth West. And like I just don't feel that strongly about that many bathrooms at Epcot. So what we decided to do instead was kind of create a new game that maybe we'll use this for other categories as well, called Top 3, Bottom 3, where we will each list out our top 3 bathrooms and our bottom 3 bathrooms. And these could be any public bathrooms across Disney's properties. So it could be at a resort, at a restaurant, at a theme park, wherever. It just can't be like, oh, well, the bathroom in the 2-bedroom suite of the Grand Floridian is really nice. It's got to be a public bathroom. But other than that, you can pick anything on Disney property. So I don't know how you wanted to do this, Jason. Did you want to do top bathrooms first or worst bathrooms first?
Ooh, I think the bottom ones are more interesting. I'm struggling thinking about my bottom ones. Actually, no, the bottom ones were easy. I'm trying to think of let's do our top and let's go back and forth.
Okay. So do you want me to start with my first top one?
Go ahead.
So first I did want to give an honorable mention because I know a lot of people think about this when they think about great bathrooms is the tangled toilets. It didn't make my top list though because I find them a little bit too crowded, messy, chaotic at times while they're really well themed, which is probably the thing I thought about the most or jumped out at me the most when I was trying to pick a bathroom. There were just other ones that I thought had well theming but weren't as sort of chaotic as the tangled toilets can be. So that was my honorable mention just so people know I considered it. I didn't forget about it, but that's not in my top 3. The first one I was going to list is the Black Spire Outpost Marketplace bathrooms. I think they are very well themed. They fit the space. They kind of have some unique features to them. And they play an original score that John Williams did, the music that plays in there. So, and they're usually not that crazy crowded because there's a couple toilets in the area and stuff like that. And they were built, big enough to handle the crowds. So that is my first of my best bathroom is the Marketplace bathroom in Black Spire Outpost.
So my first one, and this is no longer going to be on my top list next year, is the Bathrooms by Pirates. Okay. So if you're heading out of Adventureland towards Frontierland, towards Tiana's, It's right there on the left, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with all the construction and everything else, it's kind of opened it up a little bit, and it's going to be even more busy now with all the changes over there. So I think that's kind of gone. But it used to be always tucked in, and you could get to it from the gift shop a little bit, but the entrance was always kind of, you don't know what's back there, so people never really went back there. So it was kind of hidden. I always found that there was it was never that crowded, and it also had a family bathroom. So with changing diapers and little kids and stuff like that, it was easy to kind of get in. You never really had to wait too long. So that was one of always my go-to restrooms to use in the Magic Kingdom.
Okay. My second one is at Kidani Village. It is the one that's outside of where the check-in point for Sanaa is.
Okay. I'm trying to think that one.
I just really like the theming of it. It feels like it fits the space. It also feels a little like fancy with like the finishings they use in there. And the other thing I like about it, because normally I'm taking one of my kids when we're eating at Sanaa or something like that, and they usually take longer than I do, is there's seats and stuff like outside the area, and there's always animals out there. So you have something to do while you're waiting for the people you went with to finish up. So I like the bathroom itself. It's rarely ever crowded. It's well kept, well themed, and you have something to do while you were waiting for your companions.
Yep. My second one, and this might be surprising to some people, but the restrooms at the entrance of Animal Kingdom. For whatever reason, even though they're right there, I think people are so ready to get into the park, and that the entrance to that park is so kind of like low key that people kind of breeze past it to get into the park. And it's like they're not sitting there like kind of like at the entrance of Main Street, like the ones by Town Hall. They're like going right past it, because the only reason why you would go over there is to go to like customer service, or I think there's stroller rental or lockers right over there. I think people just bypass that and keep on going. So those are actually usually pretty clean, and never too crowded. And I have to think of my third, because you stole my second one with the Black Spire Outpost one. That's the one I always use when I'm back there. So let me think about it. So take your time with your third one.
All right. I will have to think and talk at length about my last choice, which is the Pioneer Hall restrooms, which are the ones right next to where you go eat if you're going to the Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. These are the ones I always speak to as my favorite restrooms on property, largely because I think not everyone thinks about them, so it's kind of a different answer than the common ones. I just love the theming of them. They have like lanterns hanging as instead of regular fixtures by the sinks and stuff like that, and they have this really cool tile work that has cowboys and stuff like that in there. It's unless you go right as the show gets out, it's never crowded. They're always well kept, and it's just, I don't know. It's just, I always associate stopping at that bathroom with going to see Hoop-Dee-Doo Review. And it's just unique. And that's, I think, what I focus on is things that are kind of like, you only find this at Disney and that sort of thing. So I love the theming of that. I love associating it with going to see Hoop-Dee-Doo Review, and especially that cowboy tile work is something that stands out to me.
See, I notice bathrooms looking, nice just because of the decor, but I don't take that any count into my scoring of bathrooms, because it's all about like, is it super crowded? Is it clean? No one likes a crowded, messy bathroom, right? So that's basically what I'm talking about. So my third one, I thought of it was, I want to give a shout out to almost all the lobby bathrooms of all the resorts, because they're typically pretty clean, which is the most busiest part of the hotel. Well, maybe not so much anymore with mobile check-in, but generally it's the busiest part of any resort. So two, I want to say the lobby in Caribbean Beach is usually very well kept, but more better. I'm not even speaking properly now. Is there's the restrooms right by the entrance of Steakhouse 71 on the bottom floor of the Contemporary. Those are the closest bathrooms that you can use if you're in that restaurant. Like, you have to come out of there and use those restrooms. They're right outside the door. But if you're not part of that restaurant, if you're not going to that restaurant, you probably don't even know that they're there, because they're kind of like tucked. Like, you have to go down a small, like 15-foot hallway to hit the men's room. The women's room is right there in the corner. But people are usually waiting at checkout or check-in, but they're not going back there, which is really nice. And they've always been well kept and clean, and easily accessible as you're walking in from the Magic Kingdom when you go in there. So those are my, I guess if I had to list all three of mine would be Pirates, the entrance to Animal Kingdom, and by the entrance of Steakhouse 71.
Okay. For worst bathrooms, do you want to go first?
I will
So
go
that-
first because
yeah,
you already
so-
mentioned these. I think one of the worst bathrooms are the Rapunzel bathrooms.
Okay.
They're the best to wait outside for your family that's using the restrooms because it's a nice, pretty area,
Yep.
but it's still a bathroom. And I think it's very unfair to that very popular character that her only presence in the Magic Kingdom are toilets. So it's kind of insulting and also funny at the same time. And then, but when you go inside, I mean, they're always clean, but they're just highly trafficked, right?
Yeah.
It's just no one likes having to wait to use, a urinal or a stall or anything else like that. And when it's really, really busy and the custodian hasn't been in there to clean it up, you can just, not that it's ever dirty, but it's just debris all over the place.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not a fan of the Rapunzel bathrooms.
Okay.
What's your first one?
My first one is the Adventureland Breezeway restrooms. So this is the one that's sort
Oh,
of,
yes.
these are the ones that are, I guess, closer to like where the magic carpets are and stuff like that. And by, kind of near Country Bears that goes in between Adventureland and Frontierland. And these are just, they're always busy. They're always crazy busy because they're right there kind of servicing those two lands. And, I guess I always focus on when you're waiting for somebody else because usually I'm waiting for like my kids or something taking longer. Just outside of it just smells bad, like
it's
the
awful.
off from them. And it's just, so those are probably my worst, in my opinion, the worst bathrooms as far as like actual bathrooms and the smell and everything like that. It's just it's not good.
It's probably the most highly trafficked bathroom in all of Magic
I think
Kingdom.
so. Yeah. Cause everyone you see them all the time from both lands. So everyone knows where they are. So you're like, oh, I don't know. My kid needs a bathroom really bad.
Boom,
I know where
that's
that
where
one
you're
is.
going,
We're
yeah.
like, we're going. Yeah.
So I mean, surprisingly, the one in what's the eatery in Tomorrowland? It's escaping me?
Oh, Cosmic Rays.
Yeah. So those go down like a narrow hallway, kind
Yeah.
of. It's kind of narrow, and they're very well used, but they're always like clean and never really super packed. Which is I thought about those, but like you know what, those are fine. But when I was coming up with this list mentally, that was my number one terrible bathroom, but I forgot to put it on my list when I wrote my list a little while ago. So yeah, Rapunzel's my first one. The second one is the one in Epcot. I don't know if you want to call it part of in the Connections Cafe. I couldn't think of Connections Cafe. It's just super duper busy. There's so many people going in and out of that. It's similar to the one in the Breezeway that you just mentioned for all the same reasons, right? It's just not that it's ever dirty, but it's just super packed. There's people going in and out. It's a heavily trafficked area, and I mean it's fine if you want to use it real quick, but it's like it reminds me of a bathroom in an airport essentially.
Yeah,
because it's just all of humanity is in there. So not a fan of those.
Yeah. So my second one for worst bathrooms it's not the one in Cosmic Ray, but it's actually the one outside that area that's closest to Anti-Gravity's Galactic Goodies and Star Traders. So it's sort of across from the Speedway.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yep.
They're just because there's people go past all those different areas. They're always busy. They're some of the, again, not blaming the cast members. It just builds up.
They're really, you know what? You're right. They get dirty.
Yeah. And it's not the cast members' fault. They just get built up. Those are ones sometimes impacting when there's flooding in Tomorrowland. It can get wet in there.
Oh.
And the theming just isn't anything special either. It's not like they did anything amazing. Like for Tron, the bathrooms look kind of cool and stuff like this. These don't look so it's like
they're old school.
There's just not much going for it.
My third one is these are the worst bathrooms I've been into in any of the parks. So they are the Hollywood Studios bathrooms right behind like the popcorn stand. So if you're in the right in front of Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, like right kind of looking at the to the side of the stage before you go down the alleyway to the ABC commissary, it's kind of attached to the Frozen building, like on the outside of the line there. They're like two huge ones. They're just heavily trafficked. For whatever reason, every time I go in there, not that they're super dirty, but they have there seems to be like drop sodas in there, and it's just like it gets cleaned up, but it's just like to me, it's just they're not themed. Here I am talking about themed bathrooms, but like it reminds me of like a train station terminal. Like beyond airport terminal, it's like train station terminal. It's dark. It's just I'm not a fan of those at all. There's usually a line to get in them sometimes and stuff like that. So that would make my third bathroom unfavorable bathroom at Disney World. There's probably more that I'm not thinking about, but like everybody has their own bathroom that they're like, this is the best bathroom in case of an emergency. I'll walk across 2 lanes to get to this bathroom because this is my bathroom. Right. It's funny because before you get to your last one, we were talking about bathrooms, and up on my Reddit feed from I think it's the Walt Disney World subreddit, there are subjects for each of the parks. They're all talking about it. So I guess bathrooms are on the mind this week. Yeah,
well, it's definitely popular. It was when we were going over my list with my wife and stuff like that, and she remembers that back when she was pregnant and we went, that was like a priority of her before each trip was knowing where all the bathrooms were, because she knew she was going to have to frequent all the bathrooms when she was heavily pregnant and stuff.
When you're pregnant or you have a young infant or child, a lot of the like nursing areas, first aid stands have some really nice facilities.
The baby care center ones are really nice. Yeah, if you have the little ones. The last bathroom I listed, and it's the specific bathroom isn't that bad, but it's the setup of it, and it's the restaurant, the St. Angel Inn restaurant. So it's the one inside the pyramid in the Mexico Pavilion. And the problem is, it's the only bathroom in the pyramid. So if you want to use the bathroom when you're there, you have to go through all the restaurant tables, and you have to kind of like talk to the hostess and say, I want to use the bathroom. And they have to like let you through and go over to use the bathrooms. There's no other bathrooms there. So when you have a kid and you're like waiting online for either the ride or for a margarita or looking at the stuff and they want to use the bathroom, you have to like go and find somebody that'll like let you through and walk past the tables. And those are the only bathrooms. There's bathrooms in the Mexico Pavilion outside the pyramid, but the only bathrooms inside the pyramid are the ones like inside the restaurant.
That doesn't seem well thought out.
It does not. We've had some like, I remember there was once we were there early, and I think the restaurant hadn't even started serving yet. We had to like get someone's attention because I was like, my kid is like, she's doing the little like potty dance and stuff, and we're like, we just want to use the bathroom. It's like, so that one maybe personally it stands out to me more, but I think that like you said, that wasn't well thought out.
So what you're saying is before you go in there, use the bathroom somewhere else. Just
exactly.
In case. Yeah.
Especially when you have so many people drinking margaritas and stuff like that, you need a lot of bathrooms.
That's it. That's true. And I always get one, of course. All right, reminder for our social media accounts where you're watching us live. If you're watching us live, go right now and click the thumbs up. If you're watching this, go scroll down just a little bit, hit the thumbs up button, type something in the comment section. Type in 5 random keys. I don't care what it is. Hit post. We want to thank you for that. It helps the algorithm. That being said,
if you hit the notification bell too, if you want to be notified for when we go live.
I never hit notification bells. Like I find that to be I don't need more notification pop-ups on all of my technology. So
except for our podcast.
Well, yes, but however, we'll see how this live thing goes. I'm enjoying it. It actually worked the first go, so I'm very happy with that it worked out. But again, reminder for all our social media accounts: Twitter, Insta, Facebook, Blue Sky, and our YouTube channel, all at the DBC Pod. And if you can't remember that, it's in every one of our descriptions on YouTube. So if you're listening and you can't find it, go on YouTube and find any one of our things. It's all over our channel, so you can find it there. Okay, so Phil. We had one of the biggest responses of the year. Fittingly, it's the end of the year. Question, DBC engagement, what are your Disney plans for 2025? What is on your Disney wish list for the year? And a bonus question I just kind of tossed in there because, it was a 2-week question is, what are your considerations for buying an annual pass? Because I think we all plan a big vacation. There's always that question, should I buy an annual pass? Right.
Yeah, because we didn't get into it because we were just going over the general room discounts, but they did also release Florida resident and annual pass holder room discounts, which in some cases were as much as 40% off. So really people always do the like, oh, well, if I upgrade to an annual pass, I can get 40% off instead of 30. Like how does that math work and stuff like that? So
it's worth checking out. So you did well. Let's go over ours, and you did a yeoman's job of cut and pasting everybody's response on here. I was just going to scroll through Discord because there were so many. Like everybody put something in there, which is really cool. So I'll let you go through that, and I will comment on everybody's wish list and tell them if they're having good ideas or bad ideas, of course. But my first I'll go real first because everybody knows it. My plans for Disney is my family trip that I have. The one bonus thing is you have a bonus trip with your wife that you're going down for Destination D23. I went to my wife and says, hey, look, we always wanted to go to the Yacht and Beach Club. We know we will never spend the money to bring our kids to any of these places, but you and I can go, and it's $474, I think it was, per night if you take the 30% discount, which ain't bad for that last week or week of August. And I was like, do you want to fly back down to Florida 3 weeks later and go back to Disney World for a couple days? And she didn't say no, because the enticing word beach club or yacht or beach club is relatively the same. That's on our bucket list. So I don't know. Maybe we'll see down there. We can do kind of like a little joint something. I don't know. We'll see
Coverage of it.
But those are my plans for 2025. Nothing crazy. I think in another podcast we have to talk about how my Christmas season felt not being at Disney World for the first time in 3 years. Yeah. But I won't bring it up now. As far as APs. So with the increase in APs, my ticket coming up next year or this year is about $850 something for my ticket package. I'd have to double that essentially to get an annual pass, and to make it work, I'd have to do another big trip sometime earlier in the summer. Whereas we might lean towards later in the year again. We don't really know. So like it just doesn't work out at all unless you're going like 4 times a year. That's the only time annual passes really work out is like 4 decent trips a year. So no considerations for me. What about you, Phil?
So I now have 2 trips set or mostly set up for 2025. As Jason mentioned, we have our parents only trip that we did get the official confirmation from my in-laws that they can come and watch the kids. So it's a go.
Nice.
Currently, we have 4 nights booked at Coronado, which is where the Destination D23 will be held. Our hope is to tack on 2 nights beforehand over at Universal once they finally release any information about availability for individual days at Epic Universe. So that is my hope, that we'll fly down the Tuesday before the event, then spend Wednesday at Epic Universe, and then Thursday transfer over to Disney.
That's nice.
So that is the plan. The other one is we're planning to do a down and back with, instead of my son, my youngest daughter. That was part of her Christmas present. And so we asked her, like, what park do you want to do? She picked Hollywood Studios. So we're looking at doing an after hours event on July 30th. She picked that because her favorite ride is Rock and Roller Coaster, and she also likes the Star Wars stuff.
Are the after hour stuff? Are those released already for that time of the year? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so they have them out for Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. Magic Kingdom so far, and I don't know if they'll add them, but they're only through like May. But Epcot and Hollywood Studios has them.
I had no idea.
Through like September, I think.
Oh, cool.
However, I'm kind of waiting, and this is sort of on my wish list, is that we find out when the work's going to start at Hollywood Studios, because I don't want to buy the after hours ticket when the main thing she wants is Rock and Roller Coaster, and then find out they're already starting the work on the move over to Muppets. If we find that out, she said her backup would be Magic Kingdom, and there isn't an after hours. We would just do a day there. Because she said Space Mountain's her second favorite ride. We have booked. I booked 2 days.
Well, by the way, I just want to put this out. You're going to be down there. One of my family's down there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I
just realized that right now.
I
was like,
and we're booked at Pop, and you're booked at Art of Animation.
You're across the lake.
We can wave at each other across Hourglass Lake.
I could take creepy pictures of you from a distance, like I did 2 years ago.
So we booked there with the discount that just came out. As I mentioned, we did look at Caribbean Beach, but it was only available on like preferred 5-person sleeper and stuff like that, so it made it more expensive. So we're booked at Pop. It was $225 down to $180 a night for 2 nights there. So that's where we were set, and we're still on the Skyliner to get to Hollywood Studios. As I mentioned, my wish list is to find out when the work will start at Hollywood Studios.
We're not going to know.
The other one is the other 2 things I listed out is I do hope, at D23 last year, they kind of hit a home run with it, all the announcements and stuff like that. I feel like they've kind of raised the bar a little bit. I'm hoping Destination D23 satisfies people to the same degree. And the other one is I hope Disney Starlight becomes kind of a classic. Like they just nail that ride. Like I hope that's not another one where it happens and everyone's like, oh, that was kind of a, wah wah. But that it's one that people like really love because I love nighttime parades.
See, you know what? I didn't even consider wish list like in that. Like wish list was like things I want to do for myself. But you took it as like I wish this would happen for the parks. And so that's a different twist. So I'd have to reconsider that, but we don't have time.
Yep. For consideration for annual pass, we've never had them entirely as a family because the same thing. I think we were considering it when we were going to do like a year of Disney with like 3 or 4 trips planned, but then COVID happened, so it didn't happen. I have personally had an annual pass in the past because we were traveling with extended family, so we had like up to 10 people in our party. And back when they had Tables in Wonderland, if you had one person with an annual pass could get Tables in Wonderland, then you can get up significant savings on dining for up to 10 people, room discounts. You got free. One of the trips we were staying off property, so you got free parking with your annual pass and stuff like that. So we kind of figured out that having one person with an annual pass and Tables in Wonderland more than paid for itself in the discounts and stuff like that.
It doesn't do that much. Annual pass discounts are basically almost like the Disney Visa discounts, but just a little bit more places you can use it. So it's not the perks.
Yeah, without Tables in Wonderland, and like I said, it really worked for us because we had 10 people in a party and stuff like that. Otherwise, so the math worked for us. Doesn't always work for everyone. So, so as Jason mentioned, we had a lot of people chime in.
Yes.
If you want to read more of them, hit up on our Discord channel. They're all still there in the DBC channel.
Nothing goes away on Discord ever.
Yeah, nothing goes away. So I just highlighted a few. So if you submitted something and I don't mention it, I apologize, but we
read all
of them. Yep. We did read all of them. They're all in the show notes. But I thought I'd hit on some people that had some kind of things that jumped out at me, and also some people that don't always contribute. So I wanted to kind of highlight there.
Oh, before we start this, I meant to do this when we were doing the socials. I want to shout out our friend Matt on Dis Happenings. If you are part of his podcast family, he started a new daily podcast. They're like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever he wants to do. But he started today, and so give that a try. Make him feel good. Tweet at him, everything else like that. He does a good job over there, so I just want to give him a shout out. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no. So Ryan W. said his 2025 Disney plan, he has a 10-day family trips in July and staying at the Polynesian for the first time, which I think is cool. And it's their second multiple generation trip.
It's like a third mortgage to stay there for 10 days. That's crazy.
And his wish list, though, is that is to see the new Magic Kingdom Nighttime Parade and the Villain Show, that he's hoping that they're both running by the time they go down for their trip.
Good chance for that.
And then also that Muppet Vision 3D is still open, hasn't closed. So he's hoping to hit that sweet spot where the new stuff started, but Muppet Vision hasn't closed.
I think Muppet Vision's going to be open for most of next year, if I had to guess.
I think so, too. Yeah. If I had to guess, I would be nice to get that confirmation.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. Yeah, I think the Nighttime Parade is going to start in the summer.
Yeah, I think it'll start around Memorial Day, if not before. Yeah.
Villains. I don't know.
It's always hard to know which shows because the casting and all that sort of stuff.
I was just going to say, pay attention to casting calls. Like, they're posted some places. So if they're still casting and it's like March, you might be in trouble because it's usually like 6 to 9 months for rehearsals before they go live with that. So. Yep.
So Mama Six says their Disney plans is in October. They're going to 7 nights, staying in a 2-bedroom villa at the Grand Floridian using DBC points. The wish list for the trip is they want to experience Halloween Party and Tiana's Bayou Adventure for the first time. They also have some new dining. They will be eating at 1900 Park Fair with the kids, with the characters and stuff like that. They're also doing a date night at Citrico's. And then they're going to visit the Animal Kingdom Lodge to eat at Sanaa, which are all 3 of those are new restaurants for them.
Oh, that is such a good collection of restaurants to try.
Yeah.
I haven't done the 1900 Park Fair. We considered it, but we chose Artist Point instead because we haven't done the new one yet. If we ever upgrade to the Disney dining plan, that one's like my first one I want to get over to.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good stuff.
Lumpy said their Disney plans is 1 full week at Bay Lake Tower. They're doing a 1-bedroom Lakeview in August.
Very cool.
Wish list, and this is one reason I highlighted this one, is that his wish list is to have a vacation in the vacation. He said they typically only do 5 days max, and they're going all 5 days in the parks. But this time they're staying for a full week, and they only have 4 park days. So they're even thinking about maybe going outside the bubble to visit relatives and stuff like that. So yeah, but they are set up to at least have some forced vacation and vacation time to relax and actually rest up a little bit.
That's a good deal. We have to help them. Like, we've helped ourselves. Like, we've like yelled at each other privately to slow down, slow down. I mean, I remember the first time I saw you in the parks when we accidentally saw each other for the first time, met in the parks after COVID. And it was like, you're like, okay, we got to go over here. We got to go over here. And I'm like, I'm not interrupting because he's on a mission. He's on his family vacation. I could see the spreadsheet like through his glasses in his eyes as he's like going from place to place. Because we met up for the right after the parade to go on Jungle Cruise, and then I was going one way, you were going another way, and you're like, I'm like, okay, this is. I saw Commando Phil at that moment. I know you've relaxed quite a bit since. 3 years ago, I guess, 2.5 years ago. But that is just funny. So we have to help Lumpy figure out what to do. So I'm looking forward to his trip report.
Next comment came in from Iha Conway, who said in Disney 25, she's leaving in 1 week for a mother-son trip with her 9-year-old son. So another one-on-one trip. And he said it's his first trip he's never been because he had a very significant fear of like mascots and characters and stuff like that. So that's why they waited so long. But I guess now he's ready for it. So that's exciting.
Excellent.
They're staying at the boardwalk and doing all 4 parks, 1 park per day. And then they're also planning, hopefully, to go in February with a mother-daughter trip with her 7-year-old daughter. They said she went, and they went together 2 years ago, and it was fantastic. So I love those kind of one-on-one trips where you have a little bit of time there. She said she loves these one-on-one trips because her husband has no desire to go to Disney, and said, or really anywhere that doesn't involve hunting or fishing. I did give her the comment. I was like, well, you can do fishing excursions at Disney. And she said, yeah, I know that, but it needs to be his idea. So somehow she has to like feed that information into him so that he comes up with the idea of like, well, maybe I could go fishing at Disney and that sort of thing. So we'll have to see. Joe C mentioned Walt Disney World trip with parents and siblings to celebrate some milestone birthdays. His mom is retiring. His parents are celebrating their 65th and 60th birthdays. And then in February, they're also in the area because they're invited along on for a wedding in the area, and they're going to go to one day at Disney there too to add that on. So
very cool. That's
always love those big milestone family trips and stuff like that. And I think the last one I was going to highlight is from Ongon 67, said that he and his wife and 2-year-old daughter are taking a trip at the end of January to celebrate his 28th birthday, and they want to check out the Festival of Arts, and they're trying to hit up a few things before they close, although we already know Big Thunder Mountain closed already, and the stuff in Dino Land is going to be shutting down soon. But they want to see at least some of the stuff that before it goes away, things like the riverboat and Tom Sawyer Island and stuff like that, because they know they won't be back again until the newer stuff is probably completed. So
yeah, I think that's super important. I'm trying to think, like Big Thunder Mountain's coming back. I mean, it's not gonna be a drastically different ride. There's gonna be better effects. It's gonna be a smoother track, but it's generally gonna be the same ride, right?
Right.
But I think it's highly important for all Disney fans, or Disney World fans, I guess, to go see the riverboat in Tom Sawyer Island, either for the first time or the last time, just because it's going to be drastically different. So go take your pictures or whatever, because it's never going to be that. Most of the other attractions, even like Muppets and stuff like that, if you've seen it before or you haven't seen it before, take it or leave it, whatever it might be. But I don't think that's as historic as Jim Henson's last work. It is. I think the riverboat and the island are so iconic in that part of the park because it's basically like that whole section.
I mean, that's been there since day one. That's been there since day one of Disneyland, right? It's just such a, we could debate for an hour. I mean, or people have been whether it's a good change or not, but it's a significant change. Whether it's something you've actively done or just had in the background, it's drastically going to change the feel of the park.
The walls are already going up, right? Big Thunder went down today for the first time, and the walls up to that area is going up. I'm like, okay, they're going to start creeping along that back all the way around to the Haunted Mansion any day now. So we'll see. But no, I suspect you have plenty of time in 2025 to see a lot of that stuff outside of Dino Land and obviously Big Thunder Mountain.
Yep. So next week's for DBC engagement topic, we talked about how we're taking advantage of some of the discounts and free dining and stuff like that. So are you, with your trips coming up, planning to take advantage of any of them? And the other, it wasn't just announced, but it just went into effect, is that for all stays, on-site stays starting in 2025, they have added the perk of free admission to the water park on your arrival day. And so I think we could talk about that a little bit next week. And just, are you planning to take advantage of that? And if you are you adjusting your travel plans or anything like that? So to enable taking advantage of that. So that's our DBC engagement for next week.
I can't wait to talk about the water park thing. I'm trying to think about how I can fit that in because we're going to take advantage of it. It's going to be interesting, like how that all works. So anyway, thank you for watching and listening this week. Thank you for joining us live. I know there's a bunch of people that came in and went and joined chat, so we really appreciate that. We're going to try to do this every single week. Doesn't really take that much more effort to go live. I have to press a couple extra buttons, and we appreciate the participation. Hopefully, we get more of you guys next week as we kind of start setting a routine for this. But again, make sure you like and subscribe. We appreciate it. Share with a friend, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.